सर आवाज आ रही? सर हेलो सर, आप कॉल लगा लीजिए मुझे, नहीं तो मैं लगा रहा, रुक जाइए।
हाँ
Hello. Very good afternoon. A warm welcome to all participants and resource person, respected Dr. Sansanwal sir, behalf of Kalyan PG College. As you all know, this program is organizing with the joint of collaboration of Kalyan PG College and Indian Teacher Education Community. Today is the 9th day of 15th day short-term course. I requested to Dr. Sansanwal sir to give guidance and lecture about statistics. Welcome, sir.
चलिए जी, थैंक यू वेरी मच।
Thank you, sir.
ओके, now dear friends, yesterday I tried my level best to tell you how you have to analyze your data with the help of yesterday it was three-way analysis, two-way analysis. Okay, I'm sorry. Yesterday I told you that how to analyze data with the help of two-way ANCOVA. Today I am going to take you to little higher. And the higher is, I will tell you the three-way ANCOVA. And when it is a three-way ANCOVA, then you understand that there must be three discontinuous variables. Okay, when you have the one-way ANCOVA, there was one variable which was discontinuous. But when it was two-way ANCOVA, then there were two variables which were discontinuous variable. And now when I say the three-way ANCOVA, then there must be three discontinuous variable. This is number one. This is the first important thing that you should know. And the next is that there must be one dependent variable or criterion variable okay, which has to be continuous, variable. And the third thing is that there must be minimum one covariate. See, this is important. I said minimum. I'm not saying maximum. So minimum one covariate. But if you want to have 3 covariates, you can have. If you have to have 4 covariates, you can have. Okay. But each covariate must be continuous. If you have a covariate which is not continuous, then you cannot take that variable as a covariate, and you cannot control that variable by using the statistical analysis, which is ANCOVA. So therefore, these 3 conditions must be satisfied. And I hope that you have understood now. Okay. Yesterday, I have already told you the assumptions. It's the same assumptions which I told you yesterday. One was normal distribution. Normal distribution of dependent or criterion variable, as well as covariate. So whatever the covariate you have, and whatever the dependent variable or the criterion variable that you have, all these must have the normal distribution. And the second is homogeneity of variance. And homogeneity of variance means whatever the groups you are taking, whatever the variable you take, which is a continuous variable, this continuous variable must have the same variation in one group and in another group, in another group. If the variation is not same, then the homogeneity of variance condition is not satisfied, and under that situation, you cannot analyze your data with the help of 3-way ANCOVA. Then you should think of analyzing your data with the help of some other technique which belongs to non-probability, non-parametric sampling technique. I repeat, if your data do not fulfill the assumptions of 3-way ANCOVA, then you cannot analyze your data with the help of 3-way ANCOVA. Now, in that case, you can analyze your data with the help of non-parametric statistics. Okay, so non-parametric statistics is another option available to you whenever your data fails to satisfy the assumptions of the 3-way ANCOVA or 2-way ANCOVA or 1-way ANCOVA, 3-way ANOVA, 2-way ANOVA, or 1-way ANOVA, whatever it is. So therefore, that is what is very, very important. Then next is the scale of measurement. The scale of measurement of dependent variable dependent or criterion variable, the scale of measurement of dependent or criterion variable must be either interval scale, either interval or ratio scale. Okay, and then another is that the scale of measurement of the covariate covariate must be either interval or ratio scale. I hope you have understood it. And then the last is there should not be any outliers. I have been telling you outliers refer to those numerical data which are either too low or too high. And if there are some too low scores or too high scores, then you should take them out from the analysis before you analyze your data. And if you do that, then your size of the sample will reduce. Okay, because you are taking the sum of the data which you have already collected out from the analysis, because they fall in the categories which are outliers. Okay, either too high or too low. Now, these are the assumptions which must be satisfied by your data. Now, the next important point that I'm going to tell you is, let us take 3 variables. Okay, suppose 3 variables are, say, my one variable, any one you can take, but it has to be the discontinuous variable. And if you want to take the types of school, you can take types of school, and you want to take government schools and private schools. If you want, you can take 3: government schools, aided schools, and private schools. The choice is yours. The next, if suppose I want to take the another variable, say type of family. Types of family. You know, the types of family can be the joint family, and another will be nuclear family. These are the 2 types of the families. And the third variable, if I take, let us say, gender, one is male and another is female. These days, we do not write girls and boys. We normally write male and female, but choice is yours. If you want to write girls and boys, I have no problem. Now, if these are the three discontinuous variable, and I take my, say, another variable, which will be, because this will be the survey research, because the three variables are such that you cannot have the experiment because you have not written any treatment. Types of school exist, types of family are there, and gender is there. So therefore, I have the criterion variable. If I have that criterion variable, suppose the criterion variable, I decide it to be a vocabulary. And if I say the criterion variable is vocabulary, and you know very well that you can definitely find out the vocabulary of the students. It's not difficult that you cannot find out the vocabulary of the students. You can find out the vocabulary of the students, and there are tools available for assessing the vocabulary of the students, and the data you will have will be the numerical data, and it is continuous. Okay. Now, let us take another variable, which is a covariate. Say, suppose I take the two covariate this time. Suppose I take one covariate is a study habits is one covariate, and suppose I take another covariate is anxiety. And both these covariates which I have taken, they will also be continuous variable. So therefore, their scale of measurement will be interval or ratio. That's fine, nice. Now, keeping these in the mind, let us now write the objective. The objective will be written like this. Here I have types of school, types of family, the gender. Then I say to study the, I cannot write the word effect, so I have to write the word influence. To study the influence of types of school, comma, types of family, and gender. These are the three variables, and when these are the three variables, so these three variables will have interaction. So then they and there will be different interactions, and there various interactions. शुभम,
यस सर।
अरे भाई ये कहां से आवाज आ रही है? यू ब्लॉक।
एक मिनट सर।
हाँ, सबको ब्लॉक कर दो। Okay, and their various interactions. Because in this particular case, there will be first order interaction as well as the second order interaction. So that is why we have two types of interaction, and I have written and their various interactions to study the influence of types of school, types of family, gender, and their various interactions on vocabulary. Vocabulary of students by considering their study habits, and anxiety as covariates. Now say if this is your objective you want to write, then and if this objective was, I don't know, it is 8th, then your hypothesis should be something like this. I can copy and paste and then so the hypothesis will be there is no significant influence of types of school, types of family, gender, and their various interactions on vocabulary of students by considering their study habits and anxiety as covariates. You know, the vocabulary of the student depends upon its study habit, and if he is too much having anxiety, then the vocabulary will change. So if I want one objective, then I have to have one hypothesis. But if I want to write the different objectives, not one objective, then how do I write? So if I want to write say I can write objective 8A will be to study the influence, of what is the first variable I have written under A. I have written types of school. So to study the influence of types of school on vocabulary of students by considering their study habit and anxiety as covariates. So I can write like this. The another one I can write is 8B. Is to study the influence of the types of family. On vocabulary of students by considering their study habits and anxiety as covariates. Then 8C will be to study the influence of gender, because that is the third variable I have taken, gender on vocabulary of students. Now I have to write another one, and that is 8D, to study the influence of types of, you have the types of school, types of family, to study the influence of types of school, to study the influence of interaction between types of school and types of family on vocabulary of students, by considering their study habits and anxiety as covariate. Here I have taken only two variables. One is types of school and another is types of family, and that is why I have written only interaction between word only to be used when you have two variables. If you have more than two variables, then it is among. So therefore your objective is, I'm just copying and paste. Now it is to study the influence of interaction between the types of school and gender on vocabulary of students by considering their study habits and anxiety as covariates. And your F will be to study the influence of interaction between the types of family and gender on vocabulary of students by considering their study habits and anxiety as covariates. And then G will be to study the interaction among, to study the influence of interaction among types of school, comma, types of family and gender on vocabulary of students by considering their study habits and anxiety as covariates. So if I do not want to write one objective, if I want to write the different objective, then this is how you have to write the different objective using the word influence. Or if in place of influence, if you are conducting an experimental study, then in place of influence, you should write the word effect. So this is how you have to write. And if I have this, then how exactly I will write my hypothesis. So I can copy and paste, and then I can make the appropriate changes here. So I'm just copying and just making the changes so you start understanding it. Okay. Now I can paste it here. And now I make change. So now I, instead of objective, I write hypothesis. And then I say there is no significant influence of types of school on vocabulary of students by considering their study habit and anxiety as covariate. Now 8B hypothesis will be something like this. 8B hypothesis will be that there is no significant influence of types of family on vocabulary of students by considering their study habits and anxiety as covariate. Then 8C hypothesis will be there is no significant influence of gender on vocabulary of students by considering their study habits and anxiety as covariates. These were the three main, and I have written the hypothesis for the three main. Now this is the hypothesis for the interaction, and there is no significant influence of interaction between types of school and types of family on vocabulary of students by considering their study habits and anxiety as covariates. Then your another is there is no significant influence of interaction between the types of school and gender on vocabulary of students by considering their study habits and anxiety as covariates. And then your 8F hypothesis will be that there is no significant influence of interaction between types of family and gender on vocabulary of students by considering their study habits and anxiety as covariate. And then another is that there is no significant influence of interaction among types of school, types of family, and gender on vocabulary of students by considering their study habits and anxiety as covariate. So these are the wordings of the objective and the hypothesis when you want to write separate and you want to use the word influence. But if you want to use the word mean, then the wording has to be different. Now let us see if I have to use the word mean, then how will I? Now this is the ANCOVA, and in ANCOVA, I cannot write the word mean. You know which word should I write. I hope you know it. The word which I should write, so let me. That you can write this or you can write this. Okay. And now I'm taking another one. I'm sure you have understood that if I have to write the mean, then I cannot write the word mean in ANCOA. I have to write adjusted mean. So if I have to write that, then how exactly I should write the objectives? Now my 8A objective will be to compare adjusted mean scores of vocabulary of students studying in government and private schools. Government and private schools by considering their study habit and vocabulary as covariates. So this is the objective where I have used the word adjusted mean. And then 8B will be, so 8B will be to compare adjusted mean scores of vocabulary of students belonging to joint families and nuclear families. So this is the another one. Now the next one is 8C. I hope all of you are understanding. So 8C will be to compare adjusted mean scores of vocabulary of male and female students. By considering their study habits and anxiety as covariates. So these are the three main effects, the objectives for the main effects when you want to write them by using the word adjusted mean. So this is how you have to write them. Then your 8D will be to compare adjusted mean scores of vocabulary of students studying in government and private schools belonging to joint families and nuclear families by considering their study habits and anxiety as covariates. My dear friend, the wording of interaction one is very, very important. Not many people, they are able to tell you the wording of the interaction terms. So therefore, you have to be careful when I am explaining you all these things. Now, then next 8E is, so 8 is to compare adjusted mean scores of vocabulary of male and female students studying in government and private schools by considering their study habits and anxiety as covariates. So when I'm copying, I'm making the appropriate changes. Please do not forget to make the appropriate changes. Now 8F is to compare adjusted mean scores of vocabulary of male and female students belonging to, here I've said to compare adjusted mean scores of vocabulary of male or female students studying in government and private school. Now it is to compare adjusted mean scores of vocabulary of male and female students belonging to joint family and nuclear family. Okay. And then there is another is to compare the adjusted mean scores of vocabulary of, I have, let us see what are the things that I have done. So here it is male and the types of school I have done, gender and types of school I have done. Here it is gender and the type of family I have done. And here, this is the type of school and the type of family I have done. So therefore, I have done all E, F, and this is G. Now I have to write now it is to compare adjusted mean scores of vocabulary of male and female students because I have to take all the three variables together now. So to compare adjusted mean scores of vocabulary of male and female students studying in government and private schools belonging to joint families and nuclear families by considering their study habits and anxiety as covariates. So this is how you should write the different objectives. The choice is yours. But if you want to use the word influence, it is your choice whether you want to write one objective or you want to write 7. But when you are writing 7, it is not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, it is 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, 1E, 1F, 1G, etc., etc. And if you have written like this, then your hypothesis will be something like this. Now, you can take the hypothesis. Now your hypothesis will be like this. So the hypothesis will be, I have to make change. And now you know what change I have to make. I should say here, there is no significant difference. There is no significant difference in adjusted mean scores of vocabulary of students studying in government and private schools. If you want to write government schools and private schools, no problem. The choice is yours. By considering their study habit and anxiety as covariate. Now, then 8B hypothesis will be that there is no significant difference in adjusted mean scores of vocabulary of students belonging to joint families and nuclear families by considering their study habit and anxiety as covariate. Then next is, there is no significant difference in adjusted mean scores of vocabulary of male and female students by considering their study habits and anxiety as covariates. I had 3 discontinuous variable, and therefore these are the 3 main effects. Okay, so you have the hypothesis for the main effects. Now this is the interaction, that there is no significant difference in adjusted mean scores of vocabulary of students studying in government and private schools belonging to joint families and nuclear families by considering their study habits and anxiety as covariates. The next hypothesis is like that there is no significant difference in adjusted mean scores of vocabulary of male and female students studying in government and private schools by considering their study habits and anxiety as covariates. Then 8F will be, there is no significant difference in adjusted mean scores of vocabulary of male and female students belonging to joint families and nuclear families by considering their study habits and anxiety as covariates. And then another is, there is no significant difference in adjusted mean scores of vocabulary of male and female students studying in government and private colleges belonging to the joint and nuclear families. So these are joint and nuclear families by considering their study habit and anxiety as covariates. So I hope you have understood now very clearly that how you should write the objective and the hypothesis. Of course, I have not told you how to write the titles, but that I will tell if you want to join my other program, which will be again of 15 days. But there I will tell how to write your objectives and how to write your title and how to write your objectives, etc., etc. again. Okay, all right. Now, in this case, my variables which I have taken, the discontinuous variable was, number one was the types of school, This were types of school. Next were types of family. And next was gender. Okay. And then I had the interaction between types of school and types of family, the types of school and gender, and type of family and gender, and another types of school, types of family and gender. So now you have understood. So let me go to my SPSS and then I will take the data. Okay, I will. And when I'm taking the data, you know how many variables data I should have. Just think about it. I have to have the 6 variables data. One variable will be types of school. Another variable will be types of family. And another variable will be gender. These will be the 3 discontinuous variable. And then I have my vocabulary, and I have then study habit, and I have the anxiety. Vocabulary, study habit, and anxiety, these will be the 3 continuous variables. So now you have understood. So if you write your objectives very clearly, pinpointedly, then writing hypothesis is not at all a difficult activity. It is a very simple activity. Okay. Now let me go and share another one. And now I'm taking you to my. All right. Now this is my SPSS. I hope all of you are able to see it. Now, first of all, I go to my variable view. Now here, I have to define the variable. And I can list the variable in any sequence I like. I repeat, I can put the variable in any sequence I like. It is not compulsory that the sequence in which they appear in your objectives or hypothesis, you should write them exactly in the same. No. But when you make a table, then you have to write exactly in the same sequence. When you will make a table from the output of the SPSS and interpret, then of course your variable sequence will be the same, and that variable sequence will be types of school, types of family, and gender, because that is the one we have taken. So if you like to have the same, you can have no problem at all. So let me see. First is the types of school. So I said types of school. And you know, here I have taken only 2 types of school. And these type of school, if I say one, the government school, and another I say the private school, and I have already told you that it is your choice whether you want to write government first or the private first. But when it is interpretation, you have to follow one sequence. So I have done that. The second is the types of families. And here also I have only two types of families. What are those? One is the joint families. This is one. And the second is a nuclear family. Nuclear families. So I have done that also. And the third is my gender. And gender also has got the two levels. And if I say one as males and two as females, okay, so this is how I have done. Entered these three names. Now I have the continuous variable, and I'm sure you know the continuous variable. One is a vocabulary, and vocabulary is a continuous variable, so that's fine, nice. The another is the study habits. And whenever you have a variable which has got two words or three words, and when you put it in the SPSS between two words, you should not keep a gap. You must put a full stop, because if you not, then it will say illegal character. That I have already told you. So the study habit is my continuous, and then another was anxiety. And this is also a continuous variable. Now, after having, so before you enter your data in the SPSS, it is important that you should first label them, okay, and then enter the data. If you first enter the data, that also you can do, but then you have to name. If you will not enter, if you will not write and just enter the data, then here it will come 1, 2, 3, something like that. So that's not all right. Fine, we go. Now these are the one, they have come here. Now you have to enter the data. The first person data you can enter, in which school he is studying. Say he is studying in the private school, so 2. Which type of family? He is a joint family, 1. Which gender? Is a female, 2. And now you have to enter the vocabulary. Suppose I have the vocabulary is 12, say 24, study habit is say 20, anxiety is say 18. So if you want, then go to the second. So you can enter the data like this, or you enter first everybody information about the types of school. And if I enter that first, then I have been telling you that because here I'm not taking the original data, I'm just making the data, but please, in reality, do not make data like this. This is called cooking, and this is not allowed in research. It is dishonesty. Okay, suppose I have entered this. Now I have to enter the family to which they belong. So I can start entering from bottom and I can move towards the top. Or if you like, I can start entering from the top. I go back to the top and again enter. The choice is yours. I'm quite comfortable with both the things. You must be entering faster than me because you are young people. I'm an old man. So I don't want to compete with you people. And if you are not doing along with me, so rest assured later on you may really have a problem in using it. Now I have to enter the data of the gender. So I can start entering. So I am about to enter the data of the gender now. Okay, I have entered the data. Now I must enter the data of the vocabulary. So I am now entering the data of the vocabulary. So you can enter whatever the data you have. By chance, if you have conducted some research and if you have the data of that research, so you can analyze along with me. I'm about to complete the entry of the data of the variable vocabulary. I have already data, but I thought I should first explain how to enter the data, and then of course, whatever data I have, I will be using it. Now the study habits, I'm entering the data. So now meanwhile, if you want, you can think of the question which you want to ask me later on when I'm entering the data, so you can think of the question. I think I have entered the data. Okay. Now, one more variable data I have to enter. I have to enter of the anxiety. So let me enter of the anxiety. I am moving from so I am just about to enter. It's only a few more. I have to, before I say I have completed. So just wait. And now here I have completed. Okay. Now let us see how do we analyze it. Now we first go to analyze. Now after that, where should we go? Think about it. If you have thought that we should go to the general linear model, then you are right. So you click on the general linear model and then click on the univariate. You get a dialog box like this. Now you know where should you shift the types of school, the types of family, and the gender. You have to shift them to the fixed factor because the types of school, the types of family, and the gender, they are not random. They are fixed factors. Okay? So therefore you have done, and you know your dependent variable is a vocabulary, so you shift it here. And the covariates are two. One is the study habits, another anxiety, so you can shift them here. I hope you have understood it. Now let us go to the options. And here, let us first select all these things, and then we can shift them on the right-hand side dialog box. And I want you take the mean, whether you want to use or not is a different issue. So there is no harm in taking the extra output. If you don't want to use, don't use, but if you want to use, you can use it. Now I have been taking the means, the descriptive statistical mean and standard deviation, and I was only using the adjusted mean. Okay, the homogeneity of variance I did not use, but if you want to use, you can use. The choice is yours. The level of significance here is 0.05, and let it be 0.05. I don't want to change because the maximum allowed error is 5%. So keep it at 5%, no problem. Now I say continue, then the post hoc is not active. Why? Because each variable has got the two levels. By chance, if one variable would have been with 3 levels, then this would have been highlighted. This would have been active. But now it's not active, so you can't use it and you don't want to use it. Now we go to the plot. Now I will have the plot. How many plots? I have the 3 first order interaction and 1 the second order interaction. So I will have the 3 plot for the first order interaction, and for the second order interaction, I have 1 plot for the gender and another plot for the, say 1 plot for male, other for the female. So I will have like this. Let us say if I take here and the separate lines I take, this is the first order interaction between types of school and types of family. Let's say another is types of school and gender. Okay. Another is types of family and gender. So these are the 3 first order interaction I have done. Now second order, maybe I say types of school, then types of family, and separate plot. I will have 1 plot for the male and another plot for the females. Okay. And so therefore I can, okay, the family is here. One is types of school, other is types of family and gender. And then please do not forget to add it. If you will not add, then SPSS will not calculate and will not show you this. So do not forget to add. Now you see these are the 4 1, and you see 1, 2, 3, and this is the 4th one. Okay, we say continue. Rest we don't want, so we continue. And this is your, the result it is getting you. Okay. Now you can see for the vocabulary, your 11th test of equality of error variance is not significant. So whatever are the differences, one group, the same in another and same in another. So homogeneity of variance is assumed, absolutely no problem. Okay. Now you see it here. Now this is your table which you have to use, and here you know that your degree of freedom for error is 78 and your total is 87. Now your SS y dot x, first was your types of school, and the types of school is, see, when it is like this 4.064 E means e raised to the power 5. So that means 10 raised to the power minus 5. So that means it is 0.0. So this will be 0.041. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it is 0.41. So this will also be 0.41. And your F value is, in this case, it is 0. All right, no problem. The types of family is 0.20 and it is F is 0.10. Your gender is 0.39 means 398 means it is 40, and so it is 0.40 and then it is 0.02. Okay. For the interaction between the types of school and the types of family is 20.69, and so it is 20.69 and F value is 1.03. Now another is the 5.17 and the F value, adjusted F value is 0.26. For next is 46.48 and it is 2.32. And the next is 31.64 and so it is 1.58. And you know, none of the adjusted F value is significant. All these are not significant. Now your error is 1560.55 and then this is 20.01 because it is 007, so it can be 01. So I have noted down all these values. And now if you want to see further, you can see your output that government schools, students vocabulary is 25.486, private is 25.485, exactly almost the same. And this is by chance, I have the data which I have entered. It's just because of that. Okay. The joint family is 25.537 and nuclear is 25.4. Very minor difference. The male is 25.559 and female is 25.4. Very minor difference. So all these you have understood now. So therefore, this all your output. Now just see, it shows that it is the interaction, but no, it's not there. If F value for the interaction is not significant, then you should not interpret the graph. Graph may show the interaction because there were many variables which might have played their role, which we did not consider in our research. So the graph is to be plotted only and only if your interaction F value is significant. In case of ANCOA, it is adjusted F value. And in case of ANOVA, it is the F value. So until and unless you do not have F value or adjusted F value significant for the interaction, then whatever may be the interaction, then you should not plot the graph. Now further here also you can see, here also you can see, and here also you can see. Okay, so therefore don't worry about it. Now let me go and let me share my Word file. Where is my Word? This is my Word file. All right. Now you know the variable, the objective which I had, this was the objective. Let me write for you. This was my objective. And I'm taking this objective and I'm just, so this is my objective. Now, keeping this objective in the mind, and if this was 8, so 8.1.0, then I should have influence of types of school, comma. Then I have types of families, gender, and their interaction and their various interaction and their various interactions on vocabulary of students by considering their study habits and anxiety as covariates. Please do not forget to write it in the plural, covariates. It's not covariate. You should write covariate when it is one. Otherwise, you should write covariates. So you can adjust, no problem. All right. Now, after having this, now you know my objective, it is here. The eighth objective was to study the influence of types of school, types of family, gender, and their various interactions on vocabulary of students by considering their study habits and anxiety as covariates. Now, if it is like this, now there are three variables. You must write the labels. Now, types of schools are government schools and private schools were the two types of school. Then now you have the nuclear family and joint. So you had written first the joint families, joint family and nuclear family. The two levels of types of family and male and female, the two levels of gender. So now you have given how many levels for each variable, so that you have done. Thus, the data were analyzed with the help of 2 by 2 by 2 factorial design and COA. Thus, the data were analyzed with the help of 2 by 2 factorial design and COA by taking study habits and anxiety as covariates. and the results are given in table 8. Now here I should make a table 8. Now I'm shifting the table and I'm inserting the table. So it is auto fix fine. Now here is source of variance, then another is a DF, and then another is SS, y dot x, then it is MSS, again y dot x, and now in this case it is F y dot x, and then you say values. Now here, you know my, so I can shift this here. Okay, no. All right. This should have been here, no problem. Now, so here I have my first is the types of school, and if I say A, I could have done it from there only, but don't worry about it. So types of school I have done, then the types of family, and if I say B, then gender. If I say C, then it is A, interaction B, next is A, interaction C, next is B, interaction C, and next is A, interaction B, interaction C. Next is error, and next is total. All right, so everywhere you have 2 level, so the DF is always 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Error is 78, and this is 87. Now, this is the 0.41, and next is 0.20, and next is 0.40, and next is 20.69, next is 5.17, next is 46.48, and next is 31.64, and next is 156.0.55. Now, these values you can copy and you can paste them here. And this error will be 20.01. and your F values are here. The first F value is 0, no problem. Then is 0.10, then 0.02, and then 1.03, and then 0.26, and then 2.32, and then 1.58. Now these are your different F values. All right. Now here I'll say summary of 2 by 2 by 2 factorial design and COVA of vocabulary of students by considering their study habits and anxiety as covariates. And don't put a full stop because it is a table heading. Okay. Now I have to start writing the interpretation. So this is my 8.1.1. So it is influence of types of school on vocabulary of students by considering their study habit and anxiety as covariates. Okay, so that's okay, fine. So then we can say now from table 8, it can be seen that the adjusted F value for types of school, adjusted F types of school is 0.00, which is not significant. It indicates that the adjusted mean scores of vocabulary of students studying in government and studying in government schools and private schools and private schools okay, when or it indicates that adjusted means course of vocabulary of students studying in government schools and private schools by considering their study habit and anxiety as covariates okay, it indicates that if I can write here, it indicates that there is no significant difference in, I can write here, it indicates that there is no significant difference in adjusted mean scores of vocabulary of students studying in government schools and private schools by considering their study habit and anxiety as covariates. So there was no significant influence. There were no significant influence of types of school on vocabulary of students. So there was no significant influence of types of schools on vocabulary of students by considering their study habit and anxiety as covariate I'm sure you are understanding. So I am saying, so there was no significant influence. Okay. Thus, the null hypothesis that there is, and now I can copy paste this. Thus, the null hypothesis that there is no significant influence. There is no significant influence of types of school on vocabulary of students by considering their study habit and anxiety of as covariates is not rejected. As soon as I say is not rejected, hypothesis has been tested. Then you can say it may therefore be said that students studying in government schools and private schools were found to have same degree of vocabulary when their study habit and anxiety was considered as covariate. So this is the one. I have to write 7 and I can copy paste so that I can go fast. Now I only make small changes, nothing else, because everything is the same. Now I'll say the adjusted F value for types of family. The adjusted F value for types of family is 0.10, which is not significant. It indicates that there is no significant difference in adjusted mean scores of vocabulary of students belonging to joint families and nuclear families. Joint families and nuclear families by considering their study habits, anxiety, and courage. So there was no significant influence of types of families on vocabulary of students by considering their study habit as covariates. Thus, the null hypothesis that there is no significant influence of types of family on vocabulary of students by considering their study habits and anxiety as covariate is not rejected. So the moment I am writing is not rejected means the hypothesis has been tested. It may therefore be said that students belonging to joint families and nuclear family families were found to have the same degree of vocabulary when their study habit was and anxiety was considered as covariate. So this is how you have to write for the one. And now for the gender one, I'm sure you can write it. Now this will be 3. I'm sure I have made a change here. So this was 2. Do not forget to make the appropriate changes. So here it was types of family. Yes. Because this is normally the problem if you copy and paste and forget to make the appropriate changes, then you will have problem. So be careful. Now in this case, influence of, now we have the gender. influence of gender on vocabulary. Influence of gender on vocabulary of students by considering their study habit and this. Fine. From now, if you want to say, did I write from table? Oh, this I did not write. Just see that first. So I should write wide table 8. Okay, so now I am saying from table 8, it can be seen that the adjusted F value for gender is the adjusted F value for gender is 0.02, which is not significant. It indicates that there is no significant difference in adjusted mean score of vocabulary of male and female students. Male and female students by considering their study habits and anxiety as covariates. Oh my God. Please write covariates because I have written here covariates. Here I did not. Anyway, I have written. Okay. Considered covariates. So there was no significant influence of gender on vocabulary of students by considering their study habits and anxiety as covariates. Thus, the null hypothesis that there is no significant influence of gender on vocabulary of students by considering their study habits and anxiety as covariates is not rejected. It may therefore be said that male and female students were found to have same degree of vocabulary when their study habits and anxiety, it's not was, were considered as covariates. Please, these type of mistakes, if you have made like me, so you can correct it. So 8.1.4. Now it is influence of interaction between types of school and types of family. Influence of interaction between types of school and types of family on vocabulary of students by considering their study habits and anxiety as covariates. Okay. Now, the adjusted F value for the interaction between types of school and types of family. The adjusted F value for the interaction between types of school and types of family is 1.03, which is not significant. The bracket wide table 8. It indicates that there is no significant difference. There is no significant difference in adjusted mean scores of vocabulary of there is no significant difference in adjusted mean scores of vocabulary of students studying in government schools and private schools belonging to joint family and nuclear families when their study habit and anxiety is considered as covariates. It indicates that there is no significant difference in adjusted mean scores of vocabulary of students studying in government schools and private schools belonging to joint family and nuclear family when their study habits and anxiety considered as covariates. So there was no significant influence of interaction between types of school and types of family. So there was no significant influence of interaction between this on vocabulary of students when their study habits and anxiety is considered as covariates. So there was no significant influence of interaction between types of school and types of family on vocabulary of students when their study habits and anxiety is considered as covariates. Thus, the null hypothesis, now I am copying and I will use it. Thus, the null hypothesis that there is no significant influence of interaction between the types of school and types of family on vocabulary of students when their study habits and anxiety is considered as covariate is not rejected. So once I write is not rejected means the hypothesis has been tested. So the hypothesis testing is a part of your interpretation. It may therefore be said that the vocabulary of students was found to be independent of interaction between types of school and types of family. Now this becomes the result. So therefore I have done one. Now you can exactly do the same for the other interactions. If you want me to do it, so let me just copy and paste. So I'm copying and paste. So this will be now 5. So I have done the types of school. Now I can do and gender. So I'm replacing. So the adjusted F value for interaction between types of school and gender is, it is 0.26. Is 0.26. Okay, which is not significant. Fine, there is no significant. So it indicates that there is no significant difference in adjusted mean scores of vocabulary of male and female students studying in government and private schools when their study habit and anxiety is considered as covariate. So there was no significant influence of interaction between the gender, between types of school and gender on vocabulary of students when their study habit and anxiety is considered as covariates. Thus, the null hypothesis that there is no significant influence of interaction between types of school and gender on vocabulary of students when their study habits and anxiety is considered as covariates is not rejected. It may therefore be said that vocabulary of students was found to be independent of interaction between types of school and gender. So this is what you have to do, dear friends. And now you can do the next one. Okay, I have to select this. So I'm now selecting this. So this is becomes my I have copied it twice because I need it. So this is 5, all right. Then this should be my 6. So this is my 6. Okay. This is my 6. And let me copy once again and make a change. That will be my 7. So this is my 7. Now here, so let us say 6. 6 will be influence of interaction between types of school. Now here, instead of school, it will be family, and gender on vocabulary of students. So the adjusted F value for interaction between types of family and gender is, this is 2.32, which is not significant. It indicates that there is no significant difference in adjusted mean scores of vocabulary of male and female students belonging to. Now I can't say studying. Belonging to joint family and nuclear family. And nuclear joint families and nuclear families okay, when their study habits and anxiety is considered as covariate, so there is no significant influence of interaction between types of families and gender on vocabulary of students. When their study habit and anxiety is considered as covariate. Thus, the null hypothesis, there is no significant influence of interaction between types of family and gender on vocabulary of students when their study habits and anxiety is considered as covariate is rejected. It may therefore be said that vocabulary of students was found to be independent of interaction between the types of family and gender. So that's fine now. Now, seventh is interaction, not between. Now, it has to be among. Interaction among types of families, types of school, then types of family and gender on vocabulary of students by considering their study habits and anxiety as covariates. The adjusted F value for interaction among types of school, types of family and gender is 1.58, which is not significant. It indicates that there is no significant difference in adjusted mean scores of vocabulary of male and female students studying in government schools and private schools belonging to joint families and nuclear families when their study habits and anxiety is considered as covariates. So there was no significant influence of interaction among types of family, types of school, then types of family and gender on vocabulary of students when their study habits and anxiety is considered as covariates. Thus, the null hypothesis that there is no significant influence of interaction among types of school, types of family, and gender on vocabulary of students when their study habits and anxiety considered as covariate, thus is not rejected. It may therefore be said that vocabulary was found to be independent of interaction among types of school, types of family, and gender. My dear friends, I just want to tell you one thing. The sequence in which I am writing the name of the variables, it has to be as per your objective. If your types of school appear first, so it should appear first here. If types of family appear second, it must be second. Gender appears third, then it must be third, like this. Okay, so this completes my interpretation. Okay, now over to the organizers, and if there is some question, so I will be happy to take the questions.
Okay, sir. There are few questions.
Please.
Okay, sir. First question is, sir, is second order interaction is also known as simple effect?
Yes. Next. So, sir, you have not mentioned DF in any of the results. You write DF only if your value is significant. whenever the value is not significant, you cannot write DF and you cannot write level of significance. Both these information you should give only and only when your F value is significant. Okay, next question is that in table 8, what is the implication of suffix? Now it means the Singh Sahib, you were absent yesterday. See, y dot x means whenever you analyze your data with the help of analysis of covariance, then analysis of covariance values and are differentiated from analysis of variance. In case of analysis of variance, we only write SS, MSS, and F. But in analysis of covariance, we have to write SS y dot x, MSS y dot x, and F y dot x. That means I am adjusting the means of my criterion variable or dependent variable, which is denoted by y, with respect to my covariate, which is denoted by x. If you have 3 covariates, then also you have to write just x, nothing else. So SS y dot x means you have analyzed your data with the help of analysis of covariance. So that is what is the meaning of that. Okay, any other question? Only these 3 questions I have answered.
Yes, sir. These are the questions. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir.
Then we can say bye-bye.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye then.